Okay, here we go. Take 3. Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome back to the Quingdom podcast. Yes, I say take 3 because I've had to re-record this intro now for the third time because of just technical difficulties and just other bullshit. But here we are. Welcome back on this lovely, for y'all, it'll be Wednesday morning at the earliest because that's when this is coming out. But for me, it's currently the day before. It is Tuesday, almost 11 o'clock. And I'm recording this like the day before because it took me so long to get this outline done. Like literally up until the time of pressing the record button, I have been editing this damn outline and it has taken me forever because per usual, there's always so much shit I want to talk about, but there's only but so much time and energy. So I had to really do a lot of chopping down and just like editing and moving things around to different episodes and things like that. But anyways, we're here this week for this episode, and that's all that matters. But once again, hello for those who do not know who I am. If this is your first time listening to my voice, I am Deontay, pronouns she and D. As far as my background goes, I am a multidisciplinary artist. I am a dancer, cinematographer, songwriter and producer, graphic designer. I have experience in visual arts. I do a lot in terms of art is concerned, but outside of that, I'm also a gamer. And as y'all are hearing, podcaster. And I also do tarot readings on the side. You'll hear about that later on. But yeah, that's me. Oh yeah, I also want to include the fact that I am a gay, black, gender non-conforming individual, okay? Like, we're just making that clear because I feel as though in today's times, it is very important to stand 10 toes down in your identity, okay? And it is very important and needed for our voices to be heard right now. So yeah, just wanted to include that in there. Like, no one is hiding over here and we are definitely not going anywhere, okay? Period. For any first time listeners, you may be thinking like, okay, well, what the hell is the Quingdom podcast? Like, what is this? What are we doing here, right? So this is essentially my little world. Welcome to my domain. Okay, you have entered my little curated, crafted space. And this is the space where I essentially geek out with the girlies and talk about all the different things that I'm into and have conversations with y'all, even though I'm literally sitting here talking to myself in front of a microphone. But in my head, we're sitting here together. We're having a sit-down conversation with the girlies, okay? So that's the vibe. That's what we're getting into here today on this podcast. But for this episode specifically, we are, just like last episode, we're going to have our 3 main sections: music, gaming, film, and TV, right? But for this episode specifically, for the music, we're going to be talking about some of these new 2025 albums and singles and some anticipated albums for the rest of the year. For gaming, for the gamer girlies, we are going to be getting into Marvel Rivals, and I'm specifically going to be giving my review and breakdown of the Fantastic Four. And then for film and TV, we're getting into Drag Race. We're getting into last episode of Drag Race, which was the Villains Roast. So if you are specifically interested in one of those topics or whatever, there are timestamps in the description. But with that being said, we are going to continue. Okay, and we are back. Ciao. For y'all, it's been 2 seconds? For me, it's been an hour. Because as I was sitting here going through my little outline, I realized there were so many albums that I did not add my top 5 for. And I was like, hold on. So I had to sit here through Spotify, going through the albums again, making sure, shit was correct. But anyways, here we are. With that being said, now we are going to get into I don't want to say my top albums. These are just the albums that I have listened to right so far this year, or at least the ones worth mentioning. I don't know, take it as you will, but we're gonna go in order, because like I said, this isn't like a ranking, so we're gonna go in order of release, right, when they came out. So first up, we have FKA Twigs' Eusexual, which came out January 24th. And for those who may not be familiar with FKA Twigs, like she's very, very experimental, avant-garde. She, from what I know, she has a dance background, so that comes through a lot in her performances and her music videos, like very theatrical. Like I'm pretty sure everyone here is familiar with Gaga. So if you think Gaga, but like black and from the UK, and like like it's very much that similar vibe, but with FKA Twigs, like I don't know, I feel like her style is a bit more ethereal, a bit more like alien superstar, if you will. Like that's just kind of what it gives to me. That's the best way that I can describe it verbally. But Eusexua, her newest album, her follow up to, did it come out last year? No, I think it might have been like 2023. But her last album, Capri Songs, which I was also a huge fan of. Capri Songs was filled with bops, but then it also had its ballady moments. And Eusexua kind of goes in that same direction, but it's a lot more. What is it? What is it? Industrial. Yes, you hear a lot more industrial influences in the instrumentation and in the instrumental. With this album, you feel as though you're immersed in an alternate world, right? Whereas though with the last one, it was more like a story. It kind of felt like you were listening to a diary entry, if that makes sense. So yeah, I definitely recommend anyone who kind of likes to like bump the bass and like blare their music loud as shit and like really like escape into the shit. I really recommend this album. And my top 5 tracks, from 1 to 5, are Drums of Death, Girl Feels Good, Perfect Stranger, Striptease, and Eusexua. And in terms of the music videos, I highly recommend you watch the music videos for Eusexua and Drums of Death. The Drums of Death video goes the fuck off. But anyways, moving on to the next album, which is The Weeknd's Hurry Up Tomorrow, which is the third installment in his After Hours trilogy, and potentially the last, from what I'm hearing. Apparently, this is like the death of The Weeknd, or at least that persona, or I don't know if he's retiring or what. I don't know. I got to do my research on that. We'll get back to that in another episode or something. What's the tea with Mr. Abel? But anyways, this album, what can I say about this? It started off strong, right? But then it kind of starts to teeter towards the end. It's like it has a really strong opening, and then at some point in the middle, like by the 5th or 6th song, it's kind of like, all right, it really slows down, and that momentum doesn't really pick back up, for me at least. My top 5 tracks from the album are Sao Paulo featuring Anita, Cry For Me, Wake Me Up featuring Justice, Open Hearts, and Niagara Falls. So the next album isn't necessarily a new album, more so a re-release. We have the deluxe version of Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet, which came out on Valentine's Day. These next couple of releases are Valentine's Day releases. Like the artists were really just giving us the little love bops that day. But anyways, with Sabrina Carpenter's project specifically, I really liked 15 Minutes. Yo, what the Anyways, as I was saying, I'm just gonna make another quick disclaimer before I even continue, because I'm so tired of having to fucking stop for all the little background noises and environmental mishaps and whatever the fuck. Like, if you hear shit in the background, oh fucking well, because I need to get through this recording. And yeah, but anyways, like I was saying, with Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet, the deluxe version, as far as the deluxe songs go, my 2 favorites are 15 Minutes and Busy Woman. Those 2 are certified bops. But with the song that I was anticipating, the Please 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 remix with Dolly Parton, that I was a bit disappointed in. Because Dolly is an icon, legend, but she's also an older woman. This is just something that we have to acknowledge. She is an older woman, and certain skills and techniques and just vocal vibratos. You start to lose certain things with age, and I just think that yeah, I'm gonna just move on. Actually, you know what? No, fuck that. I'm gonna say what I gotta say. This is my space, damn it. The shit was pitchy. It was a little off. Like they needed to fix those vocal melodies to make Sabrina and Dolly sound better together, because the way that they, I don't know, it just was not pleasing to my ears. And I will leave it at that. It just was not pleasing to my ears. But in terms of the rest of the album, aside from the deluxe tracks, because I know I skipped past my review of this last episode because I knew I was going to talk about this album again this episode. So as far as the standard version goes, my top 5 tracks on the album are Bad Chem, Juno, Please, 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 Taste, and Good Graces, right? Like, for anyone who may be I don't know how you could have missed Sabrina Carpenter at this point. I feel like the bitch has been everywhere. The push that she got last year from Espresso blowing up, crazy, but deservedly so. Like, because like I said, the album itself is a certified bop. She really puts you in that world of, oh, I am just this. How do you describe it? Like, imagine yourself, right? Follow me. Imagine you are just this blonde bombshell, right? Follow me. You are just this blonde bombshell, right? You step out there. You've got your nice ruby red pumps, and you're just the baddest bitch. But you're also quite sensitive, and it's like you could get any of these men, any of the men that throw. What the hell is that? Anyways, it's like it's like you could get any of the men that you want, but for real, you really just want that one. And it's like you keep constantly going through man after man after man, trying to find that one, and it's just kind of not working for you. So you're just kind of like, you know what? I'm just gonna embrace my bad bitchosity, and yeah, I'm gonna have this man and that man, because why not? I can. Like, it gives very much that. I don't know if that made any sense. But anyways, the next album on the list is Alessia Cara's Love in Hyperbole, which also came out on Valentine's Day. And this was, it was your standard R&B, very vibey. Like, this album definitely isn't one of my standouts of the year. There's really only one song that I really remember like that. Maybe that'll change as I continue listening to it, because like I said, it is vibey. It's like one of the albums that I can see myself putting on when I don't want too much of a tempo. Like, it's that kind of a vibe. But as far as my top 5 tracks from the album, the one that I really remember is Nighttime Thing, but the other ones that I have actually, like, oops, not me hitting the mic. The ones that I actually have liked, like, in my library, are, again, hold on, give me a second. Let me mute my watch. I keep forgetting to fucking do that, because I just automatically assume that when I mute my phone, it mutes everything, but that's obviously not the case. But anyways, yeah. So number 1, Nighttime Thing. Then Dead Man, Go Outside, Run, and Feels Right. Like, those are the 5 standout tracks for me out of the album. But next up, we have an EP, actually, by Rosé, who anyone here that watches Drag Race, the Drag Race girlies, y'all know who Rosé is. But for those who don't watch Drag Race, yeah, Rosé was a queen that competed on season 13 of RuPaul's Drag Race, made it to the final 4, and is known for like being one of the more attractive queens, like, outside of drag. One of the trades, one of the trades as they call it. So Rosé releases music like as just themselves, like as boy rose, like, and that's essentially what this EP was. Hence why it's called Oh Boy. But since I think it's only like 4 or 5 songs. So for the EPs, I just do the top track, which for me it is No Practice. But yeah, it was cute. It like again, this isn't one that I would return to. It really isn't one that I would return to. I don't even think No Practice is in my bops of the week. I don't know. But it is the best song on the EP if, any Drag Race fans are interested in listening to the Queens' music. But anyways, moving on to the next album, full on album, and I do mean full with this one. We have Duran Bernard's Bloom, which came out on the 18th of February. So this album, like I said, it's full. It's really long. This like this album brings back those what is it? What time was that? Like the 70s, 80s, where we really had like full on 5, 6, 7 minute long tracks. Like that's how full this album is, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. Good because of the quality of the album, right? Because of the instrumentation alone, like the production. Like I don't know if this was recorded with a live studio band or what, but it definitely feels that way. And you could tell just the what is the word I'm looking for? Not craftsmanship, but just the artistic integrity, right? Like you really feel who Duran is as an artist. Like, cause I'm where did I first hear of Duran? I feel like I saw him on TV first, right? I feel like it was a show. It had to have been a show, like The Four or something like that. I can't remember. Don't give me the lying. But bottom line is, I was already familiar with Duran prior to the album. So this project, hearing it, it was kind of like, okay, like this is, it was a great effort. Not great effort. That, oh God. Not great effort. No, this was a great project by Duran. Really gotta like, this is why it takes me a minute to like get my words, because I'm like, I can't be effort. That makes it seem like that sounds so shady. But anyways, the top 5 tracks for me are Overqualified, that featuring T-Pain, which I was almost tempted to put that as my number 1, but it is corny. Like it's so corny, but it's like it's my kind of corny, which is why it's number 2. I still like it, but anyway. Then we have Flounce. We have Psst, Psst. It's literally called Psst. You'll see it. You'll see it when you look at the track list. But anyways, Psst. And lastly, Unspoken. Okay, so next up we have an album that I have literally had on rotation since it came out, which is Tate McRae's So Close to What. Now, and this one came out on the 21st of February. For anyone who may be unfamiliar with Tate McRae, because that's the thing, I feel like she's having a what do you call it? Like this is her push. She's kind of having that push moment, but at the same time, the push is getting mixed reactions, right? Like some people are living for the Britney Spears Jr. vibes, and some people are not. They're finding it very copy and paste, et cetera, et cetera. And for me, because it's like I see both sides, but at the same time, for me, because I'm a fan of both Tate and Britney, I see the differences. And then like in terms of her contemporaries, which there aren't that many. Like that's the thing. Like for me, Tate McRae kind of brings that classic early 2000s pop girly energy that we are kind of lacking today. That's kind of what we were expecting to get from like Normani and like Chloe, but people just are not taking to them well. I don't know. It seems like that seems to be like a recurring thing. It's like when we get that, we just get comparisons to who came before, like Beyonce and Britney, Gaga, etc. My main gripe with the comparison critique is that it doesn't allow the artists to be able to pay tribute to those who came before them, to those who inspired them, without getting any pushback for it, or without getting that critique that they're just trying to be, etc., etc. Like, I feel as though artists should be able to blend in their own ideas and styles with the different styles that inspired them and came before them. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways, moving on to the album itself, right? With Tate. Because Tate is one of, at least in my head, she's one of the leading pop girlies. Like, I feel like she's somewhat flown under the radar because of where she started, which was kind of like this Billie Eilish-esque sad girl type thing. And then she kind of had like this 180 shift into like sexy, sporty, Tom girly. Like there was a shift, there was a rebrand. So some people aren't really fucking with the rebrand, but some people just weren't. They weren't fucking with the sad girl shit either. It's like people are kind of looking for things. They're kind of looking for reasons not to like this girl, which is kind of sad. But anyways, in terms of the music itself, like I said, it's pop. It is not. I won't say peak pop. I won't say peak pop, because that's the thing. Like, I do have my critiques when it comes to Miss McCrae herself. When it comes to the enunciation, right? It's very hard to understand this album without the lyrics on the screen. Definitely had to run them lyrics down to understand what the hell the narrative was. But once you get it, it's like, okay, girly, I feel you. She kind of gives me those same like vibes as Ariana Grande, where it's just kind of like the toxic relationship shit, but from both ends, like where you are the toxic one sometimes, but also just like, it's not me. Like, I'm not the problem. Like, I don't know. That's kind of what it gives for me. But for the dancers out there, I'm pretty sure you are familiar with Tate, because that's where she started. She started out in the dance realm. But if you are unfamiliar, then she is an artist that I would recommend for you, because she would give you what you're looking for. Like, that's the thing when it comes to performances, when it comes to the music videos, when it comes to the choreography and just the movement, the way she is able to move her body, like the bitch eats down. It's just, like I said, going back to those performances, when it comes to the vocals, when it comes to the live singing, like I feel like that's the area that she has to work on, getting comfortable with hopping in and out of that pocket, those areas where you got a belt and then hop into the choreography. Like, those are the areas where she has to work on. But she's getting there, and she will get there. I have faith. But for this album, I couldn't do a top 5. I had to do a top 10, because there was no way I could reduce it down to just 5. But in order from 1 to 10, my top 10 from this album are It's Okay, I'm Okay, which the music video for eats down. Like that I feel like for that music video, her team really leaned into the Britney comparisons, right? Like they were like, oh, this is what like they really leaned into it with that video, which I was not mad at. Like, but It's Okay, I'm Okay. Then number 2, we have Signs. Then Miss Possessive, the opening track, Sports Car, Two Hands, Blood on My Hands featuring Flo Milli, Revolving Door, Green Light, Dear God, and No, I'm Not in Love. And now, rewind, because with Revolving Door, y'all have to watch the what was it? I want to say Jimmy Kimmel, or SNL, one of them shows, one of them live shows. She performed Revolving Door on one of them live shows, and the way she like translated the vibe of the music video to the stage, to such a small stage at that. Like, I don't know, it was sickening. Y'all gotta watch it. Y'all gotta watch that one. Anyways, we are going to move on to the next project, which is another EP. Shy Girls, Club Shy Room 2. Now, this was another, what is it, like 4 or 5 track, like EP, really, really quick extension to the previous Club Shy. Was it necessary? You be the judge of that. I don't know. But it was cute. It was cute. Like, what are these tracks that I would return back to? I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like with me and Shy Girl, sometimes they hit, and sometimes it's just kind of like playlist filler, if that makes sense. Like Shy Girl is good for the party playlist, the EDM. The playlist for the girlies. That's the vibe that Shy Girl is good for. So she's good for filling out those playlists. And in terms of the top song for me, it would definitely be "Fuck Me." "Fuck Me," which was, I believe, the first single. No. "Immaculate" was the first single. "Fuck Me" was the second one, I think. But yeah, "Immaculate" with Sweetie is also cute, but it it is a little bare bones and repetitive for me to go back to. If that makes any sense. And I feel like, but and Sweetie surprised me on that song. Did I say Sweetie? Sweetie, however the fuck you pronounce it. Anyways, for the next album, we have Lisa's Alter Ego, which was a pleasant surprise for me. Like I can't even say that I was too surprised because I liked the singles that came before the actual release of the album, especially Born Again. Born Again is my shit. That's definitely one of the singles that I play on repeat. Definitely. And fucking Ray, like for those who don't know, like it was originally a Ray song before it was given to Lisa. But Ray eats down on her verse. I won't say I have no clue what she's saying because I was obviously like looked at the lyrics trying to learn it, but it's like I cannot do it. Like I cannot spit it. That's on my list of things to learn in 2025 is to get through that tongue twister of a verse. But yeah, in terms of the rest of the album itself is definitely a vibe. It gives, what do you call it? Very much like bad bitch energy, but I feel like that's so generic. That's such a like, to me it gives strong themes of independence, like it gives, this is who I am, because for those who don't know, like Lisa is from like a whole group, from K-pop group. So this album gives, this is who I am individually. It's similarly to another album that we will be getting to later on, but yeah, you definitely feel who Lisa is as an artist individually. Like, what's her personal style? What's her point of view as an artist, etc., etc. But my top 5 tracks from this album would be, of course, Born Again. That's my number 1. But after that, Elastigirl, When I'm With You, featuring Tyla, Rockstar, and Chill. Next artist on the list, we have Banks with her album Off With Her Head that came out February 28th as well. Banks is an artist that I was actually introduced to live. Like back when I was working concerts, I worked one of her concerts, and like that was my first introduction to her, like seeing her live on stage doing her thing, and I was like, oh, this bitch is sickening. So from that point forward, I had been following her on Spotify. So when I saw that she was dropping this album, I was like, okay, let's see what this gives, because Banks, how would I describe, like Banks kind of gives me that same type energy as FKA, but it's not as out there and experimental. Like it's a bit more, what is the word I'm looking for? It's a bit more digestible, I guess, if that makes any sense. Like it sounds more akin to the typical alt pop that you would hear. Would you even consider this pop? I'm definitely alternative, definitely within that realm, but alt pop, R&B, fusion, however you want to call it. Like that's the thing. Like it's so I'm into music that is hard to describe. Because that's what makes it interesting. The fact that it doesn't sound like anything that you can really compare it to. Like that's the whole point here. So my top 5 tracks on her album are "I Hate Your Ex-Girlfriend" featuring Doechii, "Move" featuring Yusel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but this Yusult, however the hell. Listen, when you look at the track list, you'll see it. Why? We're just gonna call them Y, but they have appeared twice, both here on Banks' album and then also Shy Girl. Like they're the ones featured in Fuck Me, and I'm like, okay, maybe I need to look into this person. I need to find out who you silt. What, however the fuck you pronounce that. I need to find out who this is. I need to get the tea. But anyways, top 5 tracks: "I Hate Your Ex-Girlfriend," "Move," "River," "Metal in the Mold," and "Delulu." Yes. Next album on the list, we have the deluxe version of Ravina's "Where the Butterflies Go in the Rain." Now, like I said on the last episode, also this album also came out end of the month on the 28th. But like I said in the last episode, this album gives Dreamy Meadows, right? Like very much tranquil, angelic, harmony. Not me just naming any old buzzwords, but that's what it gives, right? And in terms of the deluxe version, like the deluxe tracks, I don't know, like there weren't any that particularly stood out to me, like the way Busy Woman and 15 Minutes did on Sabrina Carpenter's album. Like I don't really remember any of the deluxe tracks too well. Like I fuck with the standard version. I really just know that there's the remix for "Lose My Focus," which is one of my favorite songs, but like the remix is more like it's what is it? Because I don't wanna be incorrect, but it's like Afrobeat, I'm a piano. It's within that realm, right? So it sounds totally different from the rest of the album. It's totally different from that calm, tranquil, vibey feeling. But other than that, my top 5 tracks on this album are "Pluto," "Junebug" featuring JPEG Mafia, "Baby Mama," like I said, "Lose My Focus," and "Water," the ending track, or at least the original ending track on the standard version. But anyways, next up we have what was my most anticipated album this year, or at least of the ones that had been announced to be coming out this year. This is the one that I was the most excited to hear, and that is Lady Gaga, Mother Monster. That is Mayhem, okay, which came out last Friday, March the 7th. And this album is literally the best parts of her best eras in one album. Mayhem is the chaos of the Fame Monster era with the independence and freedom of the Born This Way era, with the maturity of the Joanne era. It has the elements of the, what do you call it, like electro pop, but then there's also like funk. There's like this is a very genre bending album. It's a very like whiplashy type album. Very, very whiplashy genre wise, like, but it flows. It still flows well. It still makes sense. Everything is still cohesive narratively. Like, it's definitely one that you have to listen to, especially if you are a fan of Gaga. I don't know how you weren't listening to this at midnight when it dropped, but if you are not a fan of Gaga, or if you are just not too familiar with Gaga, then this is a good starter album for you. Even though I highly recommend that you go back, because what the hell, what's taking you so long? It's Gaga. But anyways, my top tracks on the album, of course, I had to do a top 10 because fuck a top 5 for Mother Monster. My top 10 albums on this, not top 10 albums, top 10 tracks on this album. With number 1 being Abracadabra. Like that, like I I I am currently working on a choreo to this song. I have to create a choreo to this song. It must be done. But anyways, Abracadabra, Shadow of a Man, Garden of Eden, which definitely evokes art pop vibes. That's the other era. Art pop. It definitely this feels like the justice for art pop. To honestly, like the Gaga fans know what I mean. This album kind of feels like justice for art pop. But anyways, moving on. After Garden of Eden, Zombie Boy, Disease, which in my head is like definitely related to The Cure. Like I don't know if it's like the parent of or the sibling of, maybe a cousin, but this song, Disease and The Cure, are definitely related. When you listen to them, you'll know what I mean. But next up, Perfect Celebrity, How Bad Do You Want Me, Killa, which she performed on SNL. It like y'all need to go and watch that the whole episode because it wasn't just the performances, there was also the skits. So you've got to watch the performance of Killa and Abracadabra. She killed it. But anyways, after Killa, Don't Call Me Tonight and Die with a Smile, that with Bruno Mars. That's my number 10 because we got to have a ballad in there somewhere, you know? But moving on to the next album. The next album on the list is Jenny's Ruby, which also came out on the 7th, same day as Mayhem. But listen, the Blackpink girlies, because Blackpink already eats down, okay? The group itself, Blackpink, sickening. But the girls individually, they are really out here, like, stepping out, and they're like, listen, like, don't get it twisted. Like, we can do this shit on our own, too. Like, but, however, for me, between Lisa and Jenny, I personally prefer Lisa's album more, but Jenny's is still good, okay? Now, with the my thing with Jenny's album, it just doesn't there's more skips. There's more skips on this album than Lisa's for me. Like it was way easier to come up with a top 5 for Ruby than Alter Ego because there was fewer songs that I liked. You know, like but anyways, but for those songs, those few songs, there goes that damn I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's the plumbing or the heating. I don't know what the hell that is. But that damn I keep stopping and pausing to try to eliminate that. Y'all hear that? Like but I'm trying to get through this episode. I'm tired of having to do shit over. But anyways, like I was saying, there are more skips on Ruby for me, but those top 5 tracks, just those fives, the ones that I'm about to list, like you should definitely go and listen to these, if not the whole album. Because like, don't get me wrong, Ruby is definitely you should listen to the whole thing. These are just my top 5. Those being Like Jenny, which is right after the intro. That was my other thing with this album. The pacing of it was kind of all over the place. It like Mayhem was whiplashy, but in a good way. Like whereas though it was like pleasant surprise. With this one, it was kind of like you would start with one vibe, you're like, okay, and then you get another vibe, you're like, okay, and then it goes into another vibe, you're like, oh, okay. Like I thought, like we started here and then we went there, and I thought we were gonna be there, but then we went here, and it's like, you know, like that's kind of how Ruby is for me. But anyways, top 5 tracks being Like Jenny, Extra L featuring Doechii, Mantra, Love Hangover featuring Dominic Fike, and Filter. Those are my bops from this album. And that is actually the last album on the list because, you know, new albums typically come out on Fridays. So we shall see what, if anything, comes out this Friday because I don't think there's anything coming out this Friday. Wait, actually, no, I'm wrong. Scratch that. Le Seraphim. Le Seraphim is releasing an EP this Friday. So yeah, I will definitely be talking about that on the next episode, and whatever else happens to drop, we shall see. But so far, in terms, like as far as ranking goes, if I was to rank the albums released so far this year that I have listened to, you know, the ones that we talked about today, Going in order from best to worst, number 1 to number 14. At number 1, we have Lady Gaga's Mayhem, of course, like, cause Mother ate down. Sorry, she has set the bar for the rest of the albums coming out this year. Lady Gaga, bar, set it. Next up, number 2, Tate McRae's So Close to What. Then Ali Alexander's Polari, FK Twigs's Eusexua, Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet Deluxe, Lisa's Alter Ego, Banks's Off With Her Head, Duran Bernard's Bloom, then Ravina's Where the Butterflies Go in the Rain Deluxe, then Alessia Cara's Love and Hyperbole, then The Weeknd's Hurry Up Tomorrow, Jenny's Ruby, Shy Girl's Club Shy Room 2, my bad, EP, and then Rosé's Oh Boy EP. That is 14. So yes, that is the ranking so far. Whether or not I will include the EPs in the final ranking, I mean, not the EPs, the deluxes, the deluxe albums in the final ranking, I don't know, because the standard versions were included last year. Like, they'll probably get axed in the final ranking once the year is over. But as of right now, in terms of everything that has come out, that is my ranking so far. So next up, we're going to get into some of the singles that came out this year, right? Because as much as we love an album, as much as we love a full body of work, we cannot let the singles go ignored. And there are definitely some singles that I've been wanting to talk about. So we're going to get into that now. Starting, just like how we did with the albums, starting with we're going in order of release dates. So we're going back. We're going backwards. Starting in January with Sexy Red and Bruno Mars's Fat, Juicy, and Wet. Now, when I say this one definitely took me by surprise. When I saw Sexy Red and Bruno Mars in the same title, I was like, what? I don't think anyone was expecting that. Like, Bruno, I don't know if Bruno has an album coming out this year or what. I need to do some research and look into that. But he's definitely been coming with the singles. There was Die With a Smile. Then we've got Fat, Juicy, and Wet. We've got, I don't know if you pronounce it Apata or if you say APT or whatever the fuck. But then there's also that one. So, yeah, I like, if Bruno is dropping an album this year, I'm like, is it going to be a collab album, or is it just the singles that are just like all collabs? Like, if it does end up being like a collab album, is this going to be like a female collaboration album, right? Like, is he pulling like a baby face? Like, is that what's happening here? Like, I'm really curious to see what Bruno is doing this year. Yeah, I'm just leave it at that. But anyways, Fat, Juicy, and Wet. Just the title alone. That title alone, like, you expect that. That's what you expect from Sexy Red. And it's like, I am a fan of Bruno, but Sexy Red, no, not necessarily a fan. I deal with her music, when it comes on, in the club, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, okay. But do I listen to her in my free time? No. But this song, however, Fat, Juicy, and Wet, this one is a bop. And I don't know if it's just because Bruno is on it or what, but like, I don't know. I actually like this song. It's a good deviation from her typical work. That's what I will say. Like, maybe it is the addition of Bruno. Like I don't know. I feel like something about that addition, especially in terms of the instrumentation, like, you hear the Bruno influence in the instrumentation, and that's probably why I like this song more in comparison to her usual work. Does that make sense? But yeah, this one's a bop. Anyways, we're gonna move on because we have more songs to get to. Next up, we have Coco Jones's Taste, which I just saw that she did a performance to this, which I meant to watch before hopping on this mic, and I did not, and now I'm mad. But anyways, Because in my head, sometimes the live performances change my view of the song. And I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of this song, so I was kind of hoping that the performance might change my mind on that. So we will see. I will get back to y'all on that next week, hopefully, if I remember. I don't know. But like I said, wasn't necessarily not necessarily the biggest fan of this song. It samples Britney Spears' Toxic, which I don't necessarily think was necessarily words. Don't necessarily think it was necessary, nor was it done well. like I don't know. It kind of it took me for a loop, and I don't know. Maybe I just need time to get used to it. I don't know, but I'm usually a fan of Coco's releases, so I'm like I hope that whatever the next single is, if there is another one coming, I hope that it's different from this one. And like I said, I'm really hoping that the live performance changes my mind. But anyways, next up we have Duckworth, who dropped two singles so far. Toxic Romantic back in what was that? What was that? Valentine's Day. Jeez. Toxic Romantic back on Valentine's Day, and just recently he did a color show, which for those who may be unfamiliar with colors, it's a YouTube channel that like showcases different artists and whatnot, and they all come and they perform on just these blank monochromatic backgrounds, like it's just one singular color, it's a vibe. It gives very much, when you go to the club and like they have the music videos on in the background, and like sometimes it's the music video to the song that's playing, and then like there's like other shit playing. Like it gives that, but for your house. Like when you want music videos or something playing in the background in your home, like that's what Colors gives. But anyways, in terms of the singles themselves, definitely feeling this new era. Duckworth is entering this new like alt rock era, which it seems like that's like a running theme this year, which we will get into as we get through some of these other singles. But like this new rock sound, which exclude like for those of y'all that are listening to this, like this is an exclusive for y'all in terms of me and my music. But like I have been not even dabbling, like the music that I have been working on, I have been incorporating a lot more rock lately than hip hop. And like, my close friends and family, like they've heard the songs that I'm referring to, like they know what I mean. So I've been going back and forth on like whether not necessarily whether or not to release them, but just how to go about releasing them, because they are more rock and I'm more so known for like hip hop and house. And so it's interesting for me, like I'm now seeing these artists kind of making this rock transition, or like having these rock eras. I'm like, okay, is this the time? I feel like it's a sign. It's just a sign. This is a sign that maybe, okay, it is time for those songs of mine to hit the net. Like maybe it's time to start releasing some things. I don't know. But anyways, back to Duckworth. Between the two tracks, I definitely listened to Toxic Romantic more, but that one came out first. So obviously, like it's gonna take me a little bit to kind of warm up to Hurricane Jim, but at first listen, I do like it. It's just I still prefer Toxic Romantic more. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. But anyways, moving on to the next single, we have Ocean Kelly's Do You Need That, which came out February 21st. Now, with Do You Need That, like, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't feeling it entirely at first, like, because there's a switch up. Spoiler alert, I guess, but there's a switch up like within the song, and like once the switch up happened, that's when it clicked for me. I was like, oh, okay, like I started fucking with it at that point. It kind of starts. How do you describe it? It's like it's really quick. It's really fast paced. it's a really fast paced pace that makes you question, oh, is the whole song gonna be like this? Like that's what was going through my head when the song first started. I was like, oh, is the whole song gonna be like this? And that's why I was not really fucking with it, because I was like, okay, I don't know if I can sit through just this. But then the switch up came. I'm like, okay, Ocean, yes, ate down with that one. But I'm like, for those who may be unfamiliar with Ocean Kelly, like, here we are, queer artists putting on other queer artists. Like, this is definitely one that you need to get into. Okay, you've been under a rock, you need to be put on. But in terms of like the Ocean Kelly songs that I would recommend besides this one, you definitely got to get into the cut of it with Tony Talks. Like that's the thing, Ocean Kelly does like mimi type music, but then there's also just like their regular music. But I live for both. And definitely live for fucking Into the Cunt of It and Agatha's Revenge and Wanda's Cunty Vision. Like, I live for the meme songs. Like, I listen to those more than the regular ones. But in terms of, do you need that? I don't. I guess this would count as like one of their regular songs. This would be one of the more regular non meme ones. But definitely go and check it out if you are into hip hop, house, dance music, something to shake your ass to. But next up, we have Dove Cameron's Too Much, which I actually hadn't heard until like yesterday. Like, this completely missed my radar somehow. And I was surprised to see her pop up in my What's New. Like, that's the thing. Like, I just constantly check my What's New on Spotify to see like what's dropping, because things don't always drop on Fridays. So I was going through my What's New and I see Dove Cameron and I'm like, oh, she's releasing music still. How nice. Let's listen to this. And the sound, it has like this what do you call it? Kind of like 80s pop, like 80s pop rock almost type sound. Like it threw me for a loop, but like not in a bad way. It was a pleasant surprise. It was nice to hear on her. Like that, it goes back to what I was saying about like these artists kind of transitioning into these like alt rock eras. It's like, is this the new wave? Like it caused words, excuse me. But it makes me think back to the conversation around Beyonce's Renaissance acts, like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, like the theory that Act 3 is going to be a rock album. I'm like, if she somehow foresaw this shit, that this was going to be the wave, I'm like, is this a Capricorn thing? Because I'm like, because that's the other thing. Like, I've been working on these damn rock songs since I graduated back in 2021. So it's like the fact I've just been sitting on this shit because I've been trying to figure out how to go about it. So it's like this timing is almost too. This can't be a coincidence, But anyways, moving on, we have Lizzo's Love in Real Life, which, oh my God, go like literally continuing on with the rock era shit. But with Lizzo's, when you see the music video specifically for this song, it's definitely a very clear like Michael Jackson tribute, like definitely that. But Michael Jackson and Prince specifically. Michael Jackson in terms of the visuals, but definitely Prince in terms of the sound, in terms of the type of rock. Like it gives very much that. And lyrically, it's nothing new for Lizzo. But in terms of the sound, which is also not completely brand new for Lizzo, but it's still a direction I'm excited to see her explore and flesh out, if that makes sense. But moving on, next up, finally moving away from the rock era. Finally moving away from the artists in their rock eras, we have Doechie's Anxiety, which came out March 5th. And this song, I mean, now I feel like I'm eating my words because I said moving away from the rock, but like at the same time, it gives what was their names? Gautier. It gives somebody that I used to know. When you listen to the song, you'll immediately hear it. It gives somebody that I used to know. And I don't know if you would count that song as rock or not, but it's somewhere adjacent, I guess. But anyways, the song itself, it's not necessarily a bop. Like, it's not just one of those songs that I would just listen to regularly, but it isn't a song that I would skip on the album, you know? Like, it feels like it would have been better as a B-side, but I'm not mad that it's a single. Yeah, I'm not mad that it's a single, but it's not one that I'll constantly revisit. Yeah. But anyways, next up we have another Drag Race queen, Bob the Drag Queen. We have their song Queen of the Underground, which came out in March. It came out March the 7th, which first of all, when this popped up in my feed, I immediately knew it was about to be some shit when I saw one, the title, Queen of the Underground, and then two, the album cover with the broken chains. I'm like, okay, I like you immediately know what it's about to give, right? Like, but I was confused because I was like, especially like once I listened to it, it gives like Black History Month anthem damn near. I was like, why didn't this come out last month? Like it felt a little too late, but also it's never too late for the message, you know? But at the same time, I'm like, damn, this would have been perfect last month, you know? But anyways, it's like I said, for anxiety, it's not, I wouldn't consider it a bop. It's not a song that I would constantly go back and listen to. And the same goes for the next song on the list, which is Lil Nas X's Dream Boy, which also like just came out on the 10th. And he's like really been hyping this song up. Like I've just been seeing nothing but hype for this song on Twitter. So like it wasn't unexpected, like definitely seen it coming, but I had higher expectations after Light Again. Like after Light Again, because even when Light Again first dropped, I wasn't a big fan of it at first. It kind of had to grow on me. It was the beat. It like the beat itself is what hooked me. Like I don't know what about it. I just like the beat. But the lyrics themselves, like, you know, is nothing new. It's just kind of, I don't know, like it feels like both of these feel like throwaway filler singles. Does that make sense? Like they don't feel like they're leading up to anything bigger. They just kind of feel like something he's doing just to do, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, it's like, because Lil Nas X, as we all know, is a polarizing character. It's like when your career is already kind of in a certain state. I mean, I don't know. I guess he's kind of at that I don't give a fuck type period, you know? Like this is that I don't give a fuck era. So I guess we can just expect the nonsense and tomfoolery for this era. But with that being said, though, with Dream Boy itself, with the song itself, like he does go off, like he snaps, he goes the fuck off. But like I said, I wouldn't consider it a bop. Like instrumentation wise, like I don't know, it's just not a song that I would repeatedly listen to. It's like okay, you hear it, you hear what he has to say, you get the point, you get the message, and you move on. That's what it gave for me. I prefer Light Again. That is actually in my bops of the week. But anyways, the last song on the list, another unexpected one for me, because first of all, okay, let me run through it. So like I'm going through my what's new, and I see DJ Khaled and Cardi B. I'm like, okay. Then I see that it's for the Smurfs. It's a single for the Smurfs, and I'm like, huh? I'm like, why DJ Khaled and Cardi B why are they on the Smurfs soundtrack? And then I listened to the song, and the lead vocalist like sounds like Rihanna. Like I'm like, this sounds like the song from the commercial. I didn't go back and watch the trailer to confirm, but it definitely sounds like the song from the trailer. And I'm like, I was under the impression that like Rihanna was going to be on the soundtrack. So I'm like hearing this. Now I'm like, is she going to be on the soundtrack? Because like I said, like the girl singing really sounds just like Rihanna. Like I can easily see Smurfette voiced as Rihanna lip syncing to this song and it, just seeming completely normal because it sounds like Rihanna anyways. Like so I'm like, is Rihanna gonna appear on this soundtrack or nah? But anyways, the song itself is cute, I guess. Like it's not bad. It's a Cardi B and DJ Khaled banger, I guess. It's a soundtrack song. Like there's not much to it. It was just the fact that it was just the combination of it all. Like there's something afoot here. There is something afoot here. But anyways, those are the singles. As far as anticipated releases go, we have La Seraphim's EP Hot, which comes out this Friday, March the 14th. Then we also have Ariana Grande's deluxe version of her album Eternal Sunshine, which the deluxe is going to be titled Brighter Days Ahead. That comes out March the 28th. And then apparently from what I've heard, Megan Thee Stallion is releasing an Act 3 to Megan. There's no word on when it's coming out, but it's supposed to be coming out this year. So we will keep our ears open for that. But we are going to take a quick break before we move on to the next section. Now, are you an artist in need of a hand? Maybe a songwriter with writer's block, or a producer trying to craft the right sound, or maybe a filmmaker looking to share their vision, or a new business owner in need of a new logo. Well, introducing the Quingdom Productions, official media production service of the Quingdom, where you can book me to help you bring your project to fruition. Whether it be a choreographer, producer, cinematographer, co-writer, editor, graphic designer, or simply consultation, click the link in the description to find out more information on services and pricing. But also remember that I'm only one person, so time and capacity are limited, and therefore online pricing is baseline and subject to change based on the workload of the project in question. Okay? Thank you. All right, now moving on to our gaming section. Yes, this episode we're calling upon all of the gamer girlies, homeboys, etc., etc. It's time to lock in. We are talking about Marvel Rivals. Yes, who the fuck isn't talking about this game in the gaming space? Like the way this game came and kind of just took over the stratosphere in terms, especially within the world of hero shooters, just kind of knocked Overwatch not completely out of the conversation, but has definitely been the main contender in terms of it. And with that being said, there has been many comparisons and whatnot to Overwatch, which I do want to quickly address before getting into the main thing for today, which is the Fantastic Four. But yes, going back to Overwatch 2, as a Overwatch 2 player, because it's like I see the obvious comparisons, right? Like they're both obviously hero shooters. There are obvious like parallels, or however the hell you say that word, between characters between Overwatch 2 and Rivals. Like prime example, you've got Black Widow and Widowmaker, right? The two snipers, and then you've got what's his name, Genji and Hawkeye, the bow and arrow people. Like with not for every single character in Rivals, but for a good majority of them, you can find a counterpart within Overwatch 2. But outside of that, when you get down to the gameplay themselves, for me personally, they feel not like so much different. It's not like a drastic difference, but they still feel different enough to play to the point where the comparisons start to feel a little heavy-handed. You know, like I feel like when I go back and forth when I play between the two, like it's simpler going back and forth between Overwatch and Rivals than it is going from one of them to Call of Duty, right? Because Call of Duty is just like a straight up FPS. But at the same time, there is still a bit of an adjustment that I have to do going from Overwatch to Rivals. I feel like a big component in that is the perspective shift. The fact that Overwatch is in the first person, whereas though Rivals is third, you know, it's over the shoulder, which I actually prefer the third person, especially for the sake of the cosmetics and costumes. I like that in Rivals, you can actually see the fucking costumes that you bought. But anyways, for Overwatch, however, the first person POV makes the game feel more chaotic. Like I feel like because everything is so in your face, like so in your peripheral, it's like a different level of immersion, if that makes sense. It's like in Overwatch you feel as though you are that character, whereas though in Rivals you feel like you are controlling that character. Like, does that make sense? Like, I feel like it doesn't, but it makes sense in my head. Anyways, back to the other comparisons, like or at least where they differ for me gameplay wise, because like I said, there are counterparts between Overwatch 2 and Rivals. There are characters that are similar to each other, but in Overwatch, those characters feel how do I put this? In Rivals, right? The characters are based on pre-existing IP. So they're based on pre-existing characters. They have full-on histories to pull from in terms of inspirations for their move sets. So in Rivals, their move sets, like they make sense. They make sense within the world of that character. Whereas though in Overwatch, all of the characters feel like their role. Like they don't feel too much like characters. They feel like what do you call them? Like faces for their roles. Like they feel like people to fill the roles that they were made to fill. Like I hope that makes more sense. Like, don't get me wrong, because I don't want to discount the bit of lore for Overwatch that does exist, right? Like these characters do have character. They have been built up over the years, but Overwatch players all know that Blizzard kind of dropped the ball on the PvP and all that shit. Like we all know that the story could be a lot more fleshed out than it actually is. So the characters still feel a bit what is the word that I'm looking? I can't think of the damn word, so I'm gonna just move the hell on. But anyways, moving on, because this isn't about Overwatch. This is about Rivals, specifically the new season, the Fantastic Four. I'm calling it the Fantastic Four season, even though there are more characters coming. As of right now, they are focused on the Fantastic Four. So I will be giving my little thoughts, comments, opinions, gameplay tips, whatever it may be for each character. And yeah, like, but quick note before we even get into all that, I'm not going to be given specific button commands for the abilities and shit like that, because I'm pretty sure, like me, most people change their controls and like edit that shit to fit their playstyle. So like we're not going to get into specifics of buttons. And I'm also speaking from my own experience playing with the characters. So like remember that these like quote unquote tips or whatever are like subjective and based on my own opinions, okay? Like my own opinions and playstyle. It's like from my POV. But anyways, moving on. We are going to start with Invisible Woman because to me, she is kind of the, I don't know. Well, first of all, she's mother, okay? Like I'm just gonna straight up say like Invisible Woman is my go-to strategist, aside from Cloak and Dagger, I'm Lord with both of them, but I use them both interchangeably depending on the team composition. So if there are a bunch of like flying people on my team, then I'm going Cloak and Dagger because the auto aim makes it a lot easier to heal them. Whereas though, if we're more so on the ground, then boom, it's easier for me to defend and whatnot. I can focus my Invisible Woman aim perfectly if everyone's on the ground. Well, not perfectly, but you know what I mean. It's a lot easier than trying to aim them fucking orbs up in the air. Like, we'll get into that. But yeah, Invisible Woman, her difficulty according to the game, she has 4 out of 5 stars, which I can see. I can see why they would rank her that way because she's not the hardest to play, but she does require a certain level of skill to use effectively. Like all of the tools in her kit are not easy. I mean, not easy. All of the tools in her kit are not hard to use. That's what I meant. But they can be wasteful if not used effectively. Like, so I feel like that's why she has that 4 star and not like a full 5 because she's definitely not difficult to use. And then I feel like that also comes down to her primary fire too, which we will get into. Her primary fire, it how do I describe it? It's not necessarily hard to aim, but it's like you got to make the hits count or else they're not going to do much, when she throw them out there. But yeah, that actually perfect transition because we're going to go through each character move by move, right? Starting with their primary fire, which for Invisible Woman is her orb projection, which launches a force field that fires a max distance before it returns back to her, and it deals damage to enemies and it heals allies along the way, right? So that's where the strategy with aiming her shit comes in at, because you want to make sure that you are aligned so that you are hitting both your allies and your enemies. You want everyone to get caught in that ricochet. Now, her secondary fire is Guardian Shield, which generates a force field in front of a selected ally, and then the shield blocks damage and it heals over time. And it also slows down any enemies that pass through it, right? So this is like her best defensive tool in terms of protecting allies from damage. And considering the fact that the shield has its own health bar, it can be used longer if you constantly switch its placement between allies. Like if you're out on the field, you for the people that play the game, like y'all know, when you're out there, everyone's typically like jumping around. It's pretty chaotic. So if you are constantly switching that shield between the allies, rather than just kind of putting it up and letting it stay there and then relying on everyone to kind of get behind it, like, no, don't do that because then they're just going to shoot it straight down. Then the enemy is just going to shoot it straight down. And if you are fighting against Invisible Woman, shoot that shit down. But if you are playing as her, it is best, or at least this is what I do. I switch the shield between people so that if anyone is trying to shoot it down, they have to like keep shooting around. It forces them to have their aim all over the place. If they're too busy trying to focus and shoot the shield down, then they're not shooting your teammates, hopefully, like because they're getting blocked by the shield damage. Like that's how I think. That's how I think about it. But anyways, her next ability, Psionic Vortex, allows her to throw a psionic energy vortex that continuously draws enemies in, and it deals damage as it does that, right? So this is good for area control and disrupting grouped up enemies. And it's also good for pulling flying enemies out of the sky and like pulling them down to the ground. Because like I said, it's a bit difficult to aim Invisible Woman's primary fire, to aim them orbs up and hit. Like, so the psionic vortex makes it easier to bring them back down to your level so that you can take them the fuck out. But also, if you throw it in front of you, because like I said, this is like a good defensive tool. If you throw it in front of you, like let's say you're getting fucking hunted down by the divers or whatever the fuck, the flankers, like you're getting hunted the fuck down. If you throw it in front of you, one, it'll slow them down so that you can get away, but two, it'll also deal damage to them as it's slowing them down so that hopefully you can kill them if their health is low enough. But then also, since they're being slowed down, you'll be able to escape quicker if you yourself are dying and you need to get the fuck out. Like, the psionic vortex really comes in handy. But her next ability, force physics, allows her to either push enemies away or pull them towards her. And this is another good defensive tool, like I said, for if you're getting targeted, like if someone is on your ass, knock them the fuck away. Or if you pair it with the psionic vortex, you can either knock them into it or pull them into it, or if the whole team is like pushing real hard, you can literally push them the fuck back. Like, this is another the force physics is another good defensive tool. Now, her melee attack, Agile Strike, is a 3-hit combo, but that third hit launches enemies back. So it's like a mini version of the force physics. Like, you do a quick 1-2 and then you push. And you can actually time out those hits. Like, you don't have to go 1, 2, 3. Like, you can go 1, 2, wait a minute till they get in position, and then 3, push them, right? Like, it's easier to do when you kind of practice it. It's easier to do once you, yeah, like I said, in practice. It's easier to do in, not literally in the practice range, but you know what I mean. Like, you got to do it for it to make sense. But anyways, her next ability, Veiled Step, allows her to double jump essentially, and that second jump, it generates a force field beneath her that propels her higher and it turns her invisible. So this is like her primary escape tool. Like, when you're getting chased the fuck down and you need to get the fuck out, this is what you do. You jump, get out, and turn invisible. You do what the Invisible Woman does, turn invisible. But like I said, this is like her primary escape tool, but once she gets attacked, she becomes visible again. So you got to make sure that when you jump, you don't jump in a predictable ass direction, because then they're just going to shoot where they saw you go, and then you're going to get revealed, and then now your escape option is done, and then boom, now you're dead. you're a dead bitch. So when you hit that second jump, you want to make sure that you jump somewhere where they're like not looking or they're not expecting. Like, kind of read the opponent and know where you need to go to get the fuck. Like, make your escape a successful one. But also, this is good for getting back to your team and like sneak into health packs, because she turns invisible after the second jump. So it's like, it's good for when you get separated and shit like that, or if you are dying, like, because it does heal you while you're invisible, but it doesn't heal you that quickly. So it's good for escaping to a little health pack, so you can hurry up and get back in the damn fight. But anyways, speaking of her turning invisible, her passive ability, Covert Advance, allows her to turn invisible after she disengages from combat. So this means if you're not fighting, she just automatically turns invisible. So on the plus side, you get to just heal from not doing anything, literally. But on the downside, you can't heal yourself while also, like, if you start fighting, that you become visible, and then boom, now you're also a target. So as the strategist, you have to kind of go back and forth and choose between when to engage and disengage for the sake of staying alive yourself, Honestly, what I recommend doing is, before you, if you're able to, that's the thing, if you're able to, before you escape, before you make that jump to go invisible, put down a guardian shield. Like, find one of your allies that's nearby, put that shield down in front of them so that you can make your escape back over to them and back over to that shield. So that way you have them as a meat shield. You have them as a meat shield, but then also that literal shield. So people will be shooting at 2 other things besides you. Hopefully, if you don't get caught. But anyways, her ultimate ability, Invisible Boundary, Now, this shit is like game saving, honestly. But anyways, Invisible Boundary allows her to manifest an unseen force field within a chosen area, rendering any allies inside undetectable by enemies and providing healing over time. In addition, any enemies that pass through the force field also get slowed down. So like this shit, this is like for when everyone's fucking dying. For those moments where everyone's just kind of getting fucking ransacked, and it's like, all right, you don't want everyone to just go down, so boom, you pop this shit and it keeps everyone in the fight a little longer. But it's best to pop it sooner than later, because sometimes the health get too low. It's like, boom, bitches is still going down. It's like, oop, sorry, Pookie. But anyways, the reason why I started with Invisible Woman is, like I said, because I consider her kind of like she literally is the anchor. She is the anchor for the Fantastic Four team up. So the team up ability is the same for the rest of them, but she herself is the anchor. But pretty much, when any of the Fantastic Four are paired with Invisible Woman, they gain access to their team up ability, which is titled differently for each member. But like I said, it operates the same, and it grants them continually generated bonus health once they activate it. So essentially, when you are on the team as Invisible Woman, the other members on your team who are playing as the Fantastic Four, they get access to a button that just gives them continuously generated health. Like, so it's like when you pair the Fantastic Four together, they could be a problem. They could be a problem to take down, especially if everyone is using their abilities correctly and in tandem. Like it could be a mess. But speaking of, let's move on to the next member. Okay, we've got her husband, Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Daddy Reed, Mr. Reed Richards. Oh, chow. That the mods that I have seen for this man. But anyway, anyways, Mr. Fantastic, he is good for both dealing and sustaining damage, right? He's like a Vanguard duelist hybrid. He has a 3-star difficulty, and I feel like that makes sense for him too, because like Invisible Woman, he's not hard to use. He's even easier to use because he's one of the brawler ones. You know, he just punches. But where the difficulty comes in, or the strategy of using him, is utilizing his cooldowns correctly, all of his abilities, because all of his abilities keep him alive, and that makes him so fucking hard to kill. Like, which we will get into one by one. So starting with his primary fire, which is Stretch Punch. And it's good for dealing damage from afar, right? Because he's literally stretching his arms and punching you from halfway across the fucking map damn near. But anyways, the first 2 punches, they deal moderate damage to a single target. But the third deals damage to multiple when you drag it, right? And it has a slow recoil, so you really have to like make them punches count, because you can just be throwing them and hitting nothing, and that's no use to anybody. But anyways, his second ability, Reflexive Rubber, allows him to absorb up to 300 damage and then launch the stored damage back at his enemies. So, like I said, this makes him really difficult to take down when it's used efficiently, because if he's getting shot at by like a Punisher or somebody like that, he can literally just eat them fucking hits and launch that shit right back at them. Knock them out with one punch, boom, it's over. Now, this is where that like Vanguard hybrid factor comes in at, right? Like, this is the tank factor, because typically you would see these type of Typically you would see these type of abilities in the tanks where they can just easily eat up damage. So this is kind of a dangerous tool for a damage character to have. And when you pair that with the fucking wife, who has a literal shield, that's like 2 lines of defense right there with just the 2 characters. And then you pair that with the team up ability, where he can just regenerally like restore that health like that. Imagine that. Imagine that. You've got the shield eating the damage, the dude eating the damage, and then he also has the fucking. He's also being re-healed. Like, It's a nasty duo. Nasty couple. But speaking of shields and shit, his next ability, Flexible Elongation, grants him a shield and launches him towards a selected target. Or that can be either ally or enemy. Either way, he selects them, he gets launched, and he gets a shield when he gets there, right? So this can easily get you caught up if you're not paying attention to the surroundings, especially like if you're not paying attention to like the surroundings of your target, like where you're ending up. Like you could, sure, you have that shield, but that shield can get ate up real quick if you end up in front of the wrong enemy, So just be aware before you go selecting anybody. But yeah, this is another. No, I wouldn't really consider this like a tanky type ability, but it's another ability that gives him a shield, therefore making him harder to take down. So. But speaking of taking people down, his next ability, Distended Grip, allows him to grab enemies from afar, either pulling them towards himself, or he can select another enemy and knock them airborne against each other. Like this shit's wild, but this ability is good for controlling space and once again disrupting those grouped up enemies. Like this is really good for fucking they whole shit up. Like if you grab the right two enemies, for real, for real. Now his passive ability, Elastic Strength. Now this shit is another contributing factor to why Mr. Fantastic is so damn hard to take down. Because Elastic Strength allows him to generate elasticity, right? When using his abilities, which boosts his attack power. So when he reaches full elasticity, he enters this inflated state that grants shield and boosts his damage even more. So this means that the longer he stays in the fight and uses his abilities, the more elasticity he generates, therefore making him stronger and giving him more like shield and health and all that shit. Like this nigga, he's really a tank on the low, for real, for real. Like it's just the fact that he starts out weak. It's like you have to use his abilities right to get those tank, well, in this game, Vanguard elements. But it's like if you're just out there fucking around and wasting your cooldowns, then you're going to go down pretty quickly. Well, not as quickly. It depends on the rest of your team. They might got you, especially if you got an invisible woman. But anyways, now gameplay strategy wise, or whatever you want to call it, if you are playing as him, then you kind of have that option to either play defensively or offensively. You kind of go back and forth. Because his primary fire is long range, you kind of want to stick back first. Stick back first and reserve your cooldowns for when you are actually being attacked, for when you need to absorb that damage. I don't recommend jumping in and purposely, taking up damage, but that is an offensive option to just kind of jump in the fight, absorb damage, launch it back at the enemies, and, take them out. And hopefully, if you have a healer behind you, you will survive through all of that. But on the flip side, if you are fighting against Mr. Fantastic and he is being pocket healed, run, because that is not a fight that you want to take on by yourself. But moving on to his ultimate ability, Brainiac Bounce, which causes him to leap upwards and smash into the ground, slowing down any enemies within range, and he leaps again with each hit that he lands. So this is another ability that's good for area control and disrupting grouped up enemies, especially if you're trying to either take or defend a point. This is good for when the whole team is kind of in one area, like unless you're really good at aiming them bounces, because that's the thing. You want to hit someone so that you get another hit. So if you miss the first hit, then you waste the ult. So that's why it's better to use it within groups, so that at least because like I said, it slows them down. It slows down any enemies within range. So it's like, at least if they're within that range of the first hit, they will be slowed down, and it'll therefore make it easier for you to hit another one. You get it? You get the game plan? Okay. But lastly, we have the team up ability, of course, which for Mr. Fantastic is called Wedded Harmony, because it's with his lovely wife, mother. But like I said earlier, this gives him access to continually generated bonus health once he activates it. So if Mr. Fantastic is paired with his wife, like I said, he becomes even harder to take down. So you might want to take her out first before you go for him so that she can't pocket heal him? But also, like, villain brain hat on, if you keep attacking that bitch, if you keep coming for the wife, hopefully it'll, convince the player to switch to somebody else. And then boom, that team up is boom out of the way. Don't got to worry about that. Like, that's what I would do. All right, so moving on to our next member of the Fantastic Four, we have the Human Torch, Johnny Storm. And in my opinion, this is one of the best area control characters in the game. Now, the game has his difficulty at 3 out of 5 stars, which, because that's the thing. It's like, he is not inherently difficult to use. It is just the fact that the flying characters in themselves, there is a learning curve to learning how to work with their movement. But once you get past that, once you get the flying down and the moving around in the air as opposed to running around on the ground, then he is not that hard to use, especially in comparison to the other flying characters in the game. On the note of movement, for his abilities, I want to start with Plasma Body, because Plasma Body allows him to accelerate forward, right? So I recommend binding this ability to whatever button/key you use for sprint whenever you usually play FPS games, right? Like, this is essentially his run in the air. It makes him go faster so that you can get to where the fuck you need to be, or get away if need be. But his primary fire cluster, this allows him to launch like 6 clusters of splitting fireballs. And there's not much to it. It's very simple. like I said, they split. So it's like when you throw it, it has the potential to cover a wider area. Pretty straightforward attack, and it doesn't take that long to reload. So. But his next ability, Blazing Blast, this lets him launch a fireball to deal damage or create a flame field in a target area that deals damage over time to enemies that step within it, right? So it's like you can either hit them directly with it, or you can target the ground and just create like a little fire trap, essentially. Now, his next ability, Flaming Meteor, this lets him dive like directly towards the ground, and it deals damage to enemies, but it also detonates any of the flame fields that he hits. So, like I said, you can either throw those fireballs directly at them and deal the damage directly to them, or you can set up a little flame field or whatever, or if you just so happen to miss, then you can aim for that flame field next and boom, slam to the ground and still hit whoever's in the area. Now, when 2 or more flame fields exist, he can use his next ability, Pyro Prison, to connect them all together and form a firewall that deals one-off high damage to any enemies that pass through it, or continuous burning damage if the wall is in like an enclosed area. So this ability in tandem with Blazing Blast are his primary like area control tools. Like when you use them to control the space and discourage any enemies from like pushing. Like, this is how you get them to scatter essentially, or just knock them out all at once, because that fire, that shit can really, it deals a lot of damage, and it can fuck you up if you're already low on health, right? So if your team already makes like this big push, like let's say you just got like a Punisher or whoever just firing off, and then you come lighting the bitch up, yeah, you're gonna take them all out. Like, now, speaking of lighting everybody up, his ultimate ability, Supernova, transforms Blazing Blast into Flame Tornado, right? And Plasma Body can be activated at no cost, meaning he can fly around with the boost without it running out, right? Well, during his ultimate. But yeah, it essentially allows him to just cover the area in these large ass fire tornadoes that just really eat everything up. Like this ability is the worst to combat against, especially within small areas where it's really hard to get away. So like if you are playing as Human Torch, it's best to use this ability in like those narrow paths. Like y'all know what I'm talking about. Like those areas of the map that are just like narrow straight paths where there's not much room to run. Like y'all, it's hard to describe verbally, audibly, but you know what I'm talking about if you see it. So, in addition to his team up ability with his sister Sue, which we will get to, Johnny also has a team up ability with Storm called Omega Fire, right? So when he activates Supernova and throws out his flame tornadoes, Storm can summon an Omega Fire by selecting a flame tornado and hitting it with Omega Hurricane. And likewise, when Storm unleashes Omega Hurricane, the Human Torch can transform it into a burning hurricane with Supernova. So this allows them both to really take up space and control the area. Like Johnny's ultimate alone is dangerous and Storm's ultimate alone is dangerous. So when you pair the two together, you have a fucking problem on your hands. But lastly, of course, there is Johnny's team up ability with his sister, Sue, called United Sibling, which of course grants him continually generated bonus health once he activates it. So when he is paired with his sister, he is less reliant on her for healing, which is good for her because she doesn't have to aim upwards to heal him. So if you are playing as Human Torch, and you don't have this ability readily available, like let's say you used it and you're waiting for that cooldown to refresh, then get your ass back down to the ground because otherwise you're not getting healed. Therefore, you are out there alone. And if you die, you cannot bitch and complain. And that's just that on that. Speaking from a healer, okay? But anyways, now we're going to move on to the Thing. Now, the Thing is one of the few tanks that I can actually use for real because I don't really play with the Vanguards in Marvel Rivals. I do play tank in Overwatch, but like I said, the two games are not exactly the same. So the tanks in Rivals are not as easy to use and pick up as the tanks in Overwatch. But anyways, in terms of the tanks that I am able to pick up and use, the Thing is one of them. And that's because his toolkit is pretty simple. There's not too much to it. It's very straightforward. Even the game, his difficulty is 1 star. It's really not hard. But with that being said, his primary fire, Rocky Jab, it just causes him to rapid punch forward. It's just a quick jab, boop 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 boop, right? Whereas his secondary fire, Stone Haymaker, is 1 charged up heavy punch. Now his next ability, Yancey Street Charge, allows him to continuously charge forward and launch up enemies, but it also leaves behind a zone at the final position that he lands at that prevents the use of mobility abilities, right? Say that 3 times fast. Mobility abilities. But anyways, this is best used for breaking up groups of enemies, right? Because once you break them up, like I said, it prevents movement abilities, so it makes it hard for them to escape once they do get scattered, which therefore makes it easier for you and your team to take them down. Now, speaking of being hard to take down, his passive ability, Unyielding Will, makes him immune to launch up, knockback, and all other displacement effects. So he essentially cannot be like knocked around. Like for example, Invisible Woman's push, right? It doesn't work on him. Like he cannot be pushed. He's literally a tank, just kind of running at you with these punches. But speaking of coming at you, his next ability, Embattled Leap, allows him to jump toward an ally and apply damage reduction to both of them, like him and the ally. So this is great for when you need to protect your healers, but really like any teammate, of course, but specifically your healers, please protect them. And like I said, it applies damage reduction to both of y'all. So it is good for if you are A, trying to engage, or B, trying to escape. Either way, you have a bit of protection there. And of course, speaking of protection and healers, the Thing has the team up ability with Invisible Woman, which for him is called Cooperative Comrades. And this, of course, grants him continually generated bonus health once he activates it. Now, like Human Torch, in addition to his team up with Invisible Woman, the Thing also has an additional team up, but his team up ability is with Wolverine, and it's called Cosmic Fastball, which basically it works just like the Hulk and Wolverine's team up, right? It just allows the Thing to hurl Wolverine forward once it's confirmed by both parties. Like once both the Wolverine and the Thing confirm, like, hey, throw me, like, boom, then it gets activated, you know. But yeah, that just about wraps up my overview of the Fantastic Four. They are definitely interesting additions to the cast. I can't wait to see how the rest of the future characters turn out, especially Blade. That's definitely one that I'm highly anticipating. And if the leaks and things are true, as much as I try to avoid them, sometimes like when you're just within gaming spaces, they're hard to avoid. But if the leaks are true, I am excited for some of the supposed alleged leaked characters. But yeah, next we will take a quick little break before moving on to our final section. Introducing the Quingdom Gaming. Join me live as I step into the ring with different fighters, take aim at a field of shooters, chill out with nice cozy games, and much, much more. Take the journey with me and leave commentary down in the chat, all live on Twitch at thequingdom_gaming. Make sure that you follow to be notified of all future streams. All right, now we are going to get to our final section for this episode, film and TV, which for today is literally just TV because we are just talking about Drag Race, specifically the latest episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, season 17, episode 10, The Villains Roast. Now, I do want to give a quick disclaimer because, child, at this point, it is almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Yes, and I am quite tired of sitting in front of this laptop at this microphone. Like, I've been here since 11 o'clock in the morning. It's taking me so long to fucking record this shit because I keep having to stop because of the different background noise and shit like that. And I know I keep saying, like, we're just gonna roll with it, but at the same time, it's like, this shit is also distracting to me, so it's hard for me to even speak when I just hear a bunch of extraness in my ears. So it's like, I literally have to keep stopping and waiting for things to quiet down and then hop back on. So yeah, we've been here for a couple hours now. So if it seems like I am speeding through this section, that's why. It's not intentional, but also somewhat intentional because I'm fucking tired and I'm ready to get this over with. But anyways, moving on to the episode. We are going to skip, them coming back from the elimination. Lydia sends Hermione home. She didn't really seem too upset about it, for real. Like, for real, for real. Like, she didn't seem too upset about it, but you know, it's okay. It's a competition and they're still together, so it's whatever. But anyways, moving on to the mini challenge, right? The mini challenge for this episode was Michelle and the Badonkadonk tank. Yes, the return of the tank. And it was literally just Michelle asking the queens questions and dunking them in the tank. I don't know how the hell the winner was chosen, but there was a winner, and that winner was in fact Jules Sparkles. And that is very important for the rest of this episode. Because as we move along into the workroom, RuPaul comes in and announces that this week's Maxi Challenge is in fact the Villains Roast, featuring Candy Muse from season 13, Mistress Isabel Brooks from season 15, and Plain Jane from season 16, the drag sister of the recently departed Corey King. So I was a little disappointed that Corey left when she did. Like, it was kind of like damn. Like, literally when I saw the promo for the next episode and like I saw that plane was coming, I was like, well, fuck. Like, damn. Like, I would have wanted to see Corey roast Plane. Like, you know, I would have preferred that over Corey and Lydia lip syncing. You know, it's as far as storylines and shit go. But anyways, moving on. Literally as soon as RuPaul announced that it was a roast, and like, you know, Arietti put two and two that, oh, this is another comedy challenge. Like, you literally saw the panic in her face. You saw her soul leave her body. And it was like, we all knew what it was heading for from there. Let's just say that. Now, because Jules Sparkles won the mini challenge, she got to assign the order of the roast. And she asked the girls like where they would prefer to be placed and who they don't want to go after, which in itself, it's like the way she put it, you know, she was trying to be considerate of everyone's feelings, but I'm like, that's shady. That's shady. That's like clearly that's just setting yourself up. It's like, even if you're acting with good intentions, you're just setting yourself up for bitches to be mad. So it's like, why even ask? Just do whatever the fuck it is you want to do and just let them be mad, because they're going to be mad regardless. But of course, Lexi Lexi and Susie, they both said they wanted to be last. However, Jules ended up putting Lexi last, like she asked. But Lexi was still mad because Jules also put Susie before her. And Lexi's all like, oh, you know, like the judges are always comparing me and Susie and da 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 da. Like, she had a whole hissy fit about it. And it was just kind of like exactly, this is exactly what I mean. Like, the bitches are still going to be mad. Like, and of course, Arietti was heated mama, because Arietti felt as though Jules was setting her up for failure, even though she pretty much already had the inclination that she was going to fail. She felt as though Jules was specifically setting her up for failure, and not just that, but plotting on her downfall. She said, oh, this bitch already knows that I'm not funny, so she's putting me before her so that I can bomb and then make her look better. You know, that was her thought process, which, you know, valid thought process. But then, of course, Jules is like, oh my God, like, you're my chismosa sister. Like, I didn't do it, like, with any malice, like, any mean intent. And I'm just like, that's... I don't know if I believe that. That sounds like a load of bullshit. But, you know, that's the story that she's stuck with. And that is the storyline that continues throughout the episode. Okay? But anyways, moving on to the roast itself. So Anya Nerve ends up going first. And, you know, she kills it. Anya is one of the best on the cast when it comes to comedy. So she, of course, kills the opening. And unfortunately, Arietti is literally right up next. And Anya, when announcing Arietti, she said that she had the comedic timing of a cancer diagnosis. Bitch, I hollered. Like, but anyways, Arietti comes up next and she did just as bad as everyone and she thought she would. If not worse. Like, and oof, hold on, because we gotta rewind a little bit. We gotta rewind a little bit because before the roast, right? Before the actual challenge, they had a sit down, right? Like a little sit down table read thing with Michelle Visage and the guest judge for this episode, which is comedian. What is her name? What is her name? Hold on, I'm on the wiki. Joey. Wait, no, not that's not him. Hold on. Oh, guest judge Whitney Cummings. There we go. I'm saying I'm looking at special guests because during the mini challenge there was this other white dude there. I didn't know who he was. That's all I forgot all about him. But yeah, Joey Nolfi. Yeah, go ahead, Google him. But anyways, so Michelle Visage and Whitney Cummings sit down with the girlies to have a little table read, workshop their material, etc., etc. And during said table read, Arietti was sitting right next to Jules and decides to steal some of her jokes. Like she said, "This is payback, bitch. You want to set me up? I'm going to set you up right back." And she literally, like, it was like a fucking cartoon, just like looking right over, boop, write that down, boop, write that down. Like, and Jules just none the wiser. Poor thing. But yeah, so when it came time for the roast, however, what gagged me was the fact that she had this shit written down, right? Like everyone has their jokes written down, but it's the fact that you had jokes written down that you didn't even like really have to come up with. You stole them and you still couldn't even like you couldn't deliver them. Like, oof, it was so sad to watch. As an Arietti stan, it was so sad to watch her go out like that. It was oof, horrifying. Like horrifying. And she tried to like giggle her way through the fuck ups and the villains were roasting her right back. Like it was to the point where everyone cheered when she said that she was at her last joke. Like, oof, it was really bad. Sam Starr compared her to a sad dog. She said Arietti was like a sad dog that you didn't know whether to feed or shoot it in the head. And I said, oh, that is terrible. But anyways, as Arietti was leaving, she was announcing the person who was up next, which was Jewel Sparkles, because she put herself after her. And she said, next up is she. What did she say? She said something about her being a backstabbing bitch or something, like right in front of the judges, and it was just kind of like, all right, like. And of course, Jules, she gets up there and she's kind of internally freaking the hell out because Arietti then stole two of her jokes. So she's like kind of scrambling to get her shit together on the spot, and it really showed. It showed. But on the other hand, because you could argue that she stumbled over her jokes due to them being stolen, but the fact that the majority of her jokes were about size was the main issue. Like, that was really the main issue. And they were even less funny, like, for real. So it's like, if Arietti only took two of her jokes, it shouldn't have made that big of a deal within her whole set. Like, because, like, Arietti, like, she had told two like size jokes or whatever. Like, I'm pretty sure she told more than that. But the fact that I remember her telling size jokes, I'm like, okay, those are probably the jokes that she stole. But I'm like, if the jokes that Arietti stole were size jokes, it's like, damn, like her whole set must have just been size jokes. You know, like that's how it came across. That's why she ended up in the bottom. For real. But next up was Lana Jaray. And like, long story short, she shocked everyone with how funny hers actually was. Like, she finally got her in the workroom humor across on the stage during a challenge, like, you know, when it actually fucking matters. Like, she finally did it. It was like, go ahead, Lana, you do the damn thing. Like, and after Lana was Sam Star. For Sam's felt really short. Like hers kind of went by in a snap. Like I barely remember what she said. I remember it was funny, but it went by so quick, and she ended up in the top. So I'm like, excuse me. Yeah. Anyways, they said fuck Stam Star. Moving on to Lydia, Lydia B. Collins, who, just like Lana, she also shocked everyone with how funny hers actually was, which is how they both ended up in the top. It was the sheer fact that no one was expecting them to do as well as they did. Like, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that when we get to the deliberation and da 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 da. But yeah, Lydia's was really funny. Moving on to Susie Toot. However, Susie was a letdown for me. Cause Susie really be gassing herself, you know. Like in Susie's mind, Miss Toot to do, she is really that girl, but she don't always deliver to the extent that she be hyping herself up to deliver. You know, it was like her roast. It was exactly what it was. It was safe. But like I said, we're going to get to the deliberations when we get there. But yeah, it was like the jokes were funny, but it wasn't anything stand out. But anyways, lastly was Lexi Love. And as Susie Toot, as Susie Toot was exiting the stage, she made a joke about Lexi not having any friends or something along those lines, and it really like fucked up Lexi in the head right before she went on the stage. And it's like, oh girl, like you saw the downward spiral, like you saw it in her eyes, like in her whole face. It was so sad. So Lexi, of course, she was stumbling a bit over her jokes and things too. Her set, I feel like it had the potential to be funny. Like I feel like she had some things prepared, but she psyched herself out and it didn't go the way that it was supposed to. But yeah. Moving on to the runway though. Category is who wears short shorts. Any old category, but yeah, basically the runway theme was shorts, right? Now, I am going to try my best to describe these looks, right? Going to try to describe these looks to the listeners. But first up, on your nerve, we have a denim bodysuit with denim leggings, right? Like, imagine leg warmers, but they're denim and layered and distressed, and you know, it's like deconstructed denim pant booties. Yes. And the bodysuit itself is but a slither of fabric up the abdomen. You know, her full sides are out, you know, full leg, full hip, and everything. It's just a slither of fabric up the center with a denim pocket bustier and off the shoulder sleeves, short sleeves, yes, with a big necklace, big jewels, big jewels, big hooped earrings, and a bright David Bowie orange wig. Yes, very Lady Gaga in the, what era was that? Either Born This Way or Art Pop. One of those eras. I know she had this hair, something like this. But yes, that's the visual, audible description of Anya Look's outfit. But moving on. Next up, we have Arietti, who comes down in this yellow gold Pope's cape with yellow shorts, and I'm gonna assume this bodice was supposed to be skin colored, but it's a bit white. But yeah, Nude Illusion-esque, because it does have the spray paint for the nipple bosom illusion, but the legs are a totally different color. That's why I'm like, I don't know if it's supposed to be nude or if it's supposed to be that color, white or what. But anyways, moving on. She also has long yellow opera gloves with these glasses that they kind of look like. Hold on, can I zoom in on this picture? These glasses, I'm like, what are those snakes? Is that a bird? I can't tell what that is. But there's a crown on her head and spikes and jewels and things, bedazzlements, embellishments, and shoes, not shoestring. What is that? What is that? What is that? What do you call that? Not shoestring, but like with the tie, like rope, like You know what? Y'all gonna have to go on Instagram and follow me. You gotta follow along. Follow along. I'm gonna need y'all to get the visual. Follow along. But nah, fuck it. Continuing with our little audio description. Next up, we have Jules Sparkles, who is dressed in this green Marie Antoinette. Obviously, the bottom part of the bodice is more short shaped, but it's like how do I describe it? Like it's not like shorts in the conventional way, It's in a more bustier way. Like if you imagine those old Marie, I was about to say those old Marie Antoinette dresses. If you imagine those old Renaissance era dresses, right? The big poofy John Johns. Take that, but you chop it down, and it looks like almost like a mini skirt. It looks like a mini skirt in the silhouette, but it's just shorts with big openings for the legs, because it's supposed to be out and wide, like, that silhouette. But anyways, on her legs themselves, she just has these black stockings, black heels. The sleeves of the garment are like big and poofy, giving her nice movement and whatnot. She has this big black bow. What else? The hair is nice and sculpted. Well, sculpted bang at least. And then she has like this big poof. She has like this big poof with a bunch of smaller bows in it. There's a lot of bows and ribboning going on throughout this look. But yeah, it's cute. It's a cute fit. But next up, Lana Jarre. Somebody, I can't remember who said it, but someone called this Republican couture or some shit like that. And now I can't unsee it because that's literally, it just, it gives like farmer, like, let me just describe it. So Lana Jarre is wearing black open toe pumps with, strappy heel, brown booty shorts with a black belt, a white top. What is this? What is that shape? It's like the shape of a vest, right? It's like a vest, but it's a crop top and it has no sleeves. Yeah, and it has a long V-neck. There we go. But she has no titties. So it's just all neck. And she has like the black bust down wig with the red hat with white letters. What does it say on her hat? Oh, the hat says RPDR 17, RuPaul's Drag Race 17. But yeah. And then adorning all of that, she has this large cloak. Like not cloak, maybe not cloak, but what do you like? I don't know if it's a jacket or what, or a blanket, a quilt. It's some large piece of fabric. Like I know they mentioned this look was inspired by or a recreation of some sort of couture look or something, and I think Lana was intentionally going for like the white Republican look, like that was the whole point because of all the white jokes during her roast. But it's still just like the look itself is so basic. It's like it's basic and ugly. It's like okay, okay. Anyways, we're gonna move on to Sam Storr, who comes out And something that I would love to see like Tate McRae in. I could definitely see her in this if she actually like took her little aesthetic all the way there, like that sportsy girl, sexy sportsy girl aesthetic. If she really took it there, I could see her in something like this. But Sam Starr comes out in this what is it? It's a football player, right? So she has the what do you call those leg things? I know that there's a word for it because they're not. Are they pants? Wait a minute. They might be pants. No, because she has pants on. She has shorts on. Duh. Like she has shorts on. So, what is it called? Chaps. That's what they are. She has on these chaps. They're like these leather. They're chaps, but in that what is it? That like leather jacket. What is it? Leatherman jacket. There we go. They're chaps in like a Leatherman jacket material pattern, like, you know, because she's supposed to be an athlete, right? So then you move up. She has the black shorts. They have stars on them. And then she has on, for the corset, is that two corsets? I don't know. No. No, I think that's, no, she has on like a mini corset. And then she has on like a jock strap that matches the corset. I think that's what I'm looking at. Either that or it's a bodysuit. Either that or it's a bodysuit. I think it's a red bodysuit. But even like why? See, this is why I'm like I wish that y'all were seeing what I'm seeing because I'm like now that I'm looking at this up close. But anyways, moving on up because I'm starting from the bottom and working my way up. So then for the bustier area. You know, it's that same leather, red. It's all like red and black leather. And then she has on shoulder pads. Yes, like football shoulder pads. And then she has these long gloves. I'm pretty sure they're probably leather too. And then she's holding a bedazzled football, which that looks like a mini football. That does not look like a regular size football. And then her hair is also in balls. Like her hair looks like anal beads to say the least. But anyways, moving on to the next queen, we have speaking of anal, Miss Lydia Butthole Collins. And her look, chow. Now we already know from the last episode, Miss Lydia is known for these very avant-garde, borderline hot mess, hodgepodge type looks. And the concept for this look was that her skin is falling off and the only parts of her skin that are left are the skin, you know, around her like waist and pussy, like, you know, where the shorts would be. So she essentially has on skin shorts and then the rest of the body is supposed to be like, you know, exposed red, like meaty, you know? And the thing is, it's all made out of like yarn. Yeah, like it's all like, you know, soft material, like yarn, velvet, I think, like some silk, like there's just a bunch of like soft materials here. So it gives it like this weird texture on top of just how much is going on. Because I'm like, there's no other way for me to describe it outside of the concept itself, like what it's supposed to be. But when you look at it, you're kind of like, what in the hell am I looking at? Like, you know? But anyways, we're going to move on to Miss Susie Toot. And Susie Toot is in this like little boy blue fiddler, like, you know, the what's the mouse catcher name? What is that guy's name? Who has the magical flute and it controls the mice, and in the one that controls the kids, like this is another like Renaissance era look. Not Beyonce Renaissance, not that Renaissance. We're talking, you know, Shakespearean Renaissance. But yeah, it is. She has like white tights with a white pump, little purple short shorts, and what do you call this front part? Whatever you call this front part, it's like trying. It's like triangles just going up. Like it's a, it like, oh my god, the disrespect. We are not getting copyrighted over here, no ma'am. Please drive away. But anyway, I don't feel like cutting that bullshit out. Anyways, this triangle part, it makes her body look weird. Like, if I feel like it shouldn't, the lines shouldn't be as straight as they are. I feel like there should be some curve there to give her more of a silhouette. You know, it makes sense when you see it, but outside of that, she has on this gold cape and her signature, I don't know if it's signature, but signature to me, little Orphan Annie red hair with the little beret and a white feather coming out of it, and she has on like some white gloves. You know, it's very pared down. It's a very period piece. There we go. And then lastly, we have Lexi Love, who honestly has my favorite look of this category. Like going back through all the girls, I'm like, yeah, Lexi and Anya. Like if Anya's Nude Illusion was a little more smooth, then she would have been one. I don't know, because they're both denim. Like they're essentially like, you know, same like concept, you know, ripped up denim, sexy, da 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 da. But they're just two totally different styles. So it's like I like them both, but I like Lexi's more because of the execution of it. But Lexi's look is, you know, outside of the denim short shorts, which are, it's like those like V type cut short shorts. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. But you know how shorts usually just kind of go horizontally. These are the ones that go upward in the V. Like it's those kind of shorts. I don't know if there's a proper term for them or what. But anyways, for the top, it's like another distressed denim top. Is it cut like a star? I want to say it's a star. I want to say it's cut in the shape of a star, but it's a very misshapen star if it is cut in the shape of a star. And, and she also has a bunch of like, you know, strings sewn throughout. It's like white string elements throughout the garment. And then the main star piece is this, I want to say, is it a cape? I don't think it's a cape. We're going to call it a shawl. We're going to call it a shawl. We're going to say it's a long, distressed denim netted shawl. Yes. And she has on like blue strappy gladiator boots up to her knees. Yes. Okay. Now moving on to the judges' deliberation. So Anya Nerve and Susie Toot are declared safe. Sam Starr, Lana Jarre, and Lydia B. Collins all land in the top, while Lydia B. Collins ultimately wins the Maxi Challenge. And then Arietti, Jewel Sparkles, and Lexi Love all land in the bottom, with Jewel Sparkles and Arietti ultimately landing in the bottom two, and therefore having to lip sync for their lives. And they end up lip syncing to fucking Beyonce. I said, what? Another Beyonce lip sync? Like, period. Like, and last time it was Break My Soul, which like it was like, all right, like, you know, Break My Soul was like the single from Renaissance, you know, like the main song or however you want to look at it. But this time around they had Yaya from Cowboy Carter, which oh my god, Jules specifically ate this up. She had a moment in the beginning where she kind of stumbled. She was like tiptoeing backwards or whatever, and she stumbled. But the way she like, how do you say it? She like rolled and like caught herself. Like it was so smooth. Like that was like the ultimate like through line with Jules's lip sync. It was just very smooth, effortless, like she was gliding across that stage, very reminiscent of like Georges for the the Drag Race watchers. If y'all know Georges, y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, but anyways, Arietti, she put up a fight though. I will give her that. This lip sync was better than her previous lip sync versus Lydia. I feel like she learned from her mistakes with that one. At least to the degree that it mattered, because with this one I felt like Arietti was really going off because it was personal. Like the girls were fighting. They attempted to kiss and make up during Untucked, but that didn't necessarily go completely well. Like, so yeah, the girls were definitely letting out their angers and frustrations on the stage. It was definitely a battle of the girlies. And Jewel Sparkles ultimately took the victory, and Arietti was eliminated officially because, mind you, she last time she was saved by the Badunk Donk tank, but now that the tank is no longer in play, she is now officially gone. Now leaving us with our top 7 queens. So, moving on to the scoreboard, where we currently are now with everyone. For it, just a quick explanation of the scoreboard, right? So I give 5 points for each win, 4 points for landing in the top, 3 for being safe, 2 for landing in the bottom, and then 1 for bottom 2, if you have to lip sync, and then 0 if you are eliminated at that episode. So currently, the scoreboard, Susie Toot has the highest score with 35 points. Susie Toot, Anya Nerve, and Sam Starr are all tied for the most wins. They each have 2 wins. Lana Jarre currently has the lowest score with 25 points because Lydia B just pulled ahead by 1 point by winning this week's challenge. And if Lana wasn't in the top, that difference would have been even more, because mind you, until prior to now, they both had identical track records. So now Lana Lana is behind by 1 point because Lydia managed to snatch a win, but she still made it in the top, so she's not that far behind. But with that being said, now Lana is the only queen without a win. So she is the one in danger, which it would be a gag if Lana ends up winning the next challenge. It would be a gag if she ends up winning the next challenge and like Lydia goes home. But if not that, then I can see Lana going home. But who else? If not them two, because they're the two obviously in danger. Next up on the scoreboard is Jules, who of course just she was just in the bottom, but she also just won her first challenge the episode before. So like you see what I mean? How you can like win and then end up in the bottom. And then with Lydia, it was literally the opposite. She was just in the bottom and then she just won. So it was like anything can happen. Lana could end up winning next week, and then either Jules or Lydia can end up going home, or even one of the front runners. We never know. But anyways, like I said, we are now down to our final 7. Oh yeah, and by the way, this is also Jules and Lexi's first times being in the bottom. That was another thing to note. But yes, now we are going to have another quick break before moving on to our closing remarks. Now, I have a question for the audience. Do you believe in tarot? And if so, do you have questions for the cards? Now, I am no fortune teller, but I can serve as a guide along your journey. Introducing TQD Tarot, where I offer various readings for the answers you seek, including yes or no questions, relationship insight, situational advice, and much, much more. I do readings that range from 1 to 10 cards, and at only $5 per card, each card offers a different piece of the puzzle. pointing to specific energies, elements, zodiacs, even planets, and many other factors at play. Just click the link in the description for more to find out how you can book your reading. And remember, the message is subjective, but the cards never lie. Whew, ciao. All right. Never thought that we would get here, but here we are. We are at the end of another wonderful episode of the Quingdom podcast. Ciao. I am not going to lie. I'm so tired. Another reason why this has been taking me longer than usual is because I've also been editing as I've been recording, because I'm also just not trying to be up all night again like how I was last time. We learn from our mistakes here. We learn from our mistakes. So yes, I've been editing and recording simultaneously, going back, checking over things, fixing mistakes that I can. I'm such a fucking Capricorn. To my detriment sometimes is a mess. But anyways, yes, I appreciate y'all for sticking with me and listening to all of this, to listening to my craziness, for following along for the shenanigans. I really appreciate it. To those who have reached out or let me know that y'all have listened, I appreciate all of it. It lets me know that I'm not talking to myself, even though I literally am on my end. But on that note, in terms of supporting creators and whatnot, because we all know that we are in some hard ass times, and like I mentioned earlier, I am a Black, queer, gender nonconforming individual, and in Trump's America, it's literally to the point where my job security is at risk. So if you really want to support a creator and make it so that I can continue doing this without too many worries, and then also make it so that the content can actually improve and, fund future projects, then please consider going down to that donation link in my description and consider leaving a girly a little tip, just a little something. We've got the Cash Apps and the Venmos and the PayPals, we've got the things, we've got all the options. It's up to you. But what is free? Following me on all of my social medias. Yes, you can also show your support by following me on Instagram at Queen_D. Also, you can follow me on Snapchat too if you really want to be in for the randomness and shenanigans, because that's really all that goes up on my Snap. But definitely keep an eye out on my stories on both of those. Specifically though, for Instagram, keep an eye out on my stories for updates and exclusive offers. Definitely be sure to contact me for a tarot reading if you are interested. The quickest way to contact me is via Instagram. You can DM me, or you can email me, or contact me through my website. More information on how to go about doing that and everything regarding the tarot readings is all on my website. The link is right in the description below. What else? YouTube. That is where you can find all of my music videos. So be sure to follow me there so that when I am able to start releasing fucking music videos again, you will be in the know. But speaking of my music, that is also available on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. Those links are also down there. Really, if you go down and you click on the Quingdom Network, right? That is the all-encompassing link to all of my content. You'll find everything there. Whatever's new will be highlighted. So as of right now, the podcast is what is currently highlighted. And other than that, other than the music streaming platforms and the podcasting platforms, you can also follow me on Twitch if you are into gaming. If you are one of my gaming girlies, follow me over there on Twitch to witness me rise the ranks. Currently playing a bunch of Marvel Rivals, trying to get to Grandmaster. Also been going back and forth to Overwatch because I'm just trying to climb as far as I can in Overwatch, period. I've never really gotten too deep into ranked, so I'm trying to change that, But then also Tekken. I'm also been getting back into my Tekken grind. preparing for Anna's release, which we will be talking about second in an upcoming episode. So please, if you enjoyed today, if you enjoy hearing my voice, if you want to hear more about the different music, games, movies, shows, etc., that I like to geek out about, discuss, speculate, break down, whatever, please be sure to follow the Quingdom podcast so that you can stay in the know for all future episodes. We go up live Wednesdays at 9 a.m. I've been debating whether or not I want to switch to like a bi-weekly format just for the simple fact of not burning myself out. Like, full transparency, I'm like, I don't want to burn myself out, but at the same time, it's like with the rate that things come out, and it's like for the sake of me keeping up with things and being current, I would prefer to stay weekly. But if it gets to that point where it's like I'm busy and I need to skip a week, I will say so. And those are the type of updates that you would get on my social media, which is why I'm like, follow me so that you can know what the hell's going on. But yeah, with that being said, I now turn the mic over to y'all. I want to hear what y'all have to say. So down in the comments, I want to know, what is your favorite album or EP or single so far for 2025? Do you prefer Overwatch 2 or Marvel Rivals? And if you play Marvel Rivals, what do you think of the Fantastic Four? And if you do watch Drag Race, who are you rooting for to win? For me, it's definitely On Your Nerve, but I want to know who y'all are rooting for. And I'm also curious to, like, cause it's just something that I've been brainstorming. I'm like, what should I call y'all? Like, what do I call the listeners of the Queendom besides just the listeners? That's so basic. So yeah, help me come up with, like, I don't know, fan names or whatever the hell. And I will catch y'all in the next one. Thank you for listening. Bye.